Welcome to Milan, Italy. It's Thursday, the 12th of May. I'm getting a lot of questions about the pilot incapacitation on the Cessna 208 Caravan out of Florida. I can give you a quick rough field report here with my limited capability. Let me show you what we know so far. The aircraft involved is a Cessna 208 Caravan, November 333 Lima Delta, flying from Marsh Harbor in the Bahamas to West Palm Beach, Florida. It's believed there were 2 passengers and the 1 pilot on board. The aircraft is registered to Beach Amphibian LLC. I believe this is a Part 135 charter operation that has yet to be determined. Here on FlightAware you can see the aircraft operating under autopilot from the Bahamas heading up to Fort Pierce. And right here is where the incapacitation happens. Lesson number 1 for the passenger pilot, who I believe is probably sitting in the right seat of the Cessna 208, is unusual attitude recoveries. Look at this. He immediately gets into a steep descending right 270 degree turn. And over here we can see, stand by. Here on the FlightAware data, we can see right where the incapacitation occurred with the descending 270 degree turn, a loss of altitude from 10,000 feet all the way down to 6,400 feet, and the airspeed spiking up from 180, correction, the ground speed, spiking up from 180 miles an hour all the way up to nearly 300 miles per hour, and then fairly quickly getting under control by the new passenger pilot. Here's the individual data points right at that point, showing a descent rate of 6,375 feet per minute. Just a terrifying plunge there. And then after the upset recovery, you can see that the passenger climbs the aircraft back up to about 8,600 feet or so, gets the airspeed roughly under control, and is hand flying it the rest of the way on in, and then starts a gradual descent on in for his arrival and landing. Aviate, navigate, communicate. That's what we always say on this channel, and that's what this passenger did, and that's what saved the day. He had the presence of mind to recover the aircraft and fly the aircraft. Fly the aircraft first, and then got on the radio and started talking about his situation. The problem was he was kind of on the wrong frequency. He was on the Fort Pierce Tower frequency, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how much radar capability you have there in the Fort Pierce Tower, but the folks that he's talking to can't see him yet on the radar. So this is where we get into the discussion, and you can listen to the full audio tape over on Bass Aviation's website, and I'll share the link with you, where the first thing they need to do is locate this aircraft. So they want to locate this aircraft by having him squawk 7700 in the transponder. And that's the emergency squawk that you put in the transponder, and if you hit the ident button, that'll blow your signature up into a big blob on the radar screen so folks can find you easier. But they really want to get him onto an approach frequency where they can better find him on radar. But that presents a bunch of problems, especially if you want to aviate first, navigate, and then communicate. If you start fiddling with these radios now at this critical time, it can cause a lot of problems. And the other problem is, I think this aircraft is probably equipped with a flat screen Garmin G1000 nav display. And that's even for a guy like me, I would have who has not been trained on that particular piece of equipment, I'd be like a dog watching TV trying to figure out how to change the frequency in a Garmin G1000. Let me show you. Again, I'm not exactly sure this is what was on board this aircraft, but it's very likely to be the case, or something very similar to this. But it's a very, very busy panel, and it incorporates nearly everything from all your attitude and navigation stuff to your nav radio, your comm radio, and the transponder he's talking about is way down here, this little ident button here, and I'm not even sure how you, on a G1000 without reading the book, how you switch that transponder code over. And then to change the channel, the radio frequency on the channel, he's going to have to get up here on the comm side and flip around, and on these little tiny numbers up here, get the number that the guy selects. So one of the best things I like listening to on the audio, and I'll play it here in a moment, is where the passenger pilot, whose name we still don't know yet, says emphatically, "No, I can't change the frequency. I'm not changing the frequency. I'm just flying the airplane."
Maintain wings level and just try to follow the coast, either north or southbound. We're trying to locate you.
6-4, passenger 8600.
Number 3, Lima Delta, if able, hit the ident button on the transponder.
Which one is it?
Number 3, Lima Delta on the transponder. If there's a button that says ident, hit the ident button for me.
Vass is pointing out where the ident button is on the G1000.
Number 3, Lima Delta, if able, I have a frequency for you to put into your radio. It's 132.15, 132.15. That's Palm Beach approach. They may have a better idea of where you're at.
Because the tower controller doesn't have the great radar capability.
Number 3, Lima Delta, did you copy the frequency 132.15?
No.
Number 3, Lima Delta, no problem. Just continue to stay wings level, maintain 5,000, and follow the coast, and we're going to try to find you here on the radar.
Okay, simple.
So, aviate, navigate, communicate, he really has no choice other than to just simply fly the airplane, because it's just too complicated to get this radio work figured out. And then the best idea of the day was when somebody suggested, I believe somebody probably on the ground there suggested, hey, see if he's got a cell phone and see if we can just do this via the cell phone. And that's where the half of the story, the rest of the half of the story that we don't know lies, because when they got, who was it, Robert Morgan, the air traffic controller, in contact with this passenger pilot via the cell phone, that's when they were able to get things sorted out and talk the passenger pilot down from his present situation. So fortunately, it's Dave VFR, and once he recovers from his unusual attitude recovery, he's able to see the coast of Florida. And when he recovered, he's heading kind of southbound here, it looks like. And so he's able to aim towards the coast of Florida. They finally figure out where he's located along the coast of Florida. And then they bring him up north here and decide to land him here at Palm Beach, where they got a nice long 10,000-foot runway. And it looks like he did a great job just coming straight up the coast here, and then a big old left 270 straight in final to Palm Beach. Here's the Palm Beach Airport runway 10 left with a nice long 10,000-foot runway. There's also a nice ILS approach into runway 10 left, but this would be far too difficult to try to explain to the pilot. I'm sure he just did a visual approach and landing to 10 left. A couple other points about using the cell phone. First off, the cell phone probably will not go out of range. The frequency for the tower that he was initially on, if he flies too far away from that tower, and I think you can hear this on the ATC audio tapes, they were having a hard time conveying what cell phone number to call. Once you fly too far out of visual range of that tower, that frequency is going to disappear on you, and you're going to be unable, you're going to lose communication with this pilot altogether. But with the cell phone, you can remain in contact no matter where he wanders up and down the coast of Palm Beach. Another thing is the cell phone versus the radio. The radio is what's called simplex communication. It's one-way communication at a time. If you both try to talk at the same time, you step on each other and it just creates a big bunch of noise and you can't communicate. With the cell phone, that's duplex communication. And of course, we're all very used to talking on cell phones. It's much easier to communicate, and it will be much easier. It would be much easier for Robert to be able to talk about the nuances, having to land this airplane. And according to an article in the local newspaper there, they did go through the whole process of slowing the aircraft down, configuring the aircraft, where the flaps are at, and how to use the flaps and how to use the trim in order to get this aircraft slowed down and set up for landing. So I'm pretty convinced that this guy has never flown before. He's certainly never flown a Caravan. He may have some, it'd be interesting to see if he's got any gaming experience, because he did an excellent job of keeping the wings level and maintaining control of the aircraft and eventually landing the aircraft. So what a discovery flight. As we get more information, I can let you know here. I got to go out and find some prosciutto in Milan. Thanks so much for your support, especially over on Patreon, that make this content possible. See you here.